A very warm welcome to all of you. A special welcome to Ms. Alison Emoto, our chief guest, the Honorary Consul for Portugal, our curator Liliam, and thanks Sharad for joining us. The reason for this exhibition is because our exposure to art, to Western art is really, or non-Indian art is primarily Euro-American. And I thought this was, when I met Liliam at the Lalit Kala and I saw the Latin American and North African art, I thought it was a completely different visual language, different pictorial sensibilities, but really speaking so much about what our Indian artists also, in terms of content, it was so similar. And I thought it would be interesting to have an opportunity to have originals of Latin American and North African art. By the way, all the artworks here belong to Liliam's family. They're all from her private collection. And when I asked her and I explained to her about DakshinaChitra, about the profile of our visitors, about those who very rarely might get an opportunity to see Latin American, and she was immediately agreed. And we're very privileged and lucky to have these artworks for a period of, for a short period, for a month or so. So that was how it began. And I mean, one look at it, you can make out that, there are so many similarities. We look at, Sosawa's work over here, which is the Virgin and the Child. And if some of you who came for the Madras Art Weekend, you'll remember Sivaramamurthy's Mother and Child, or Jamini Roy's Mother and Child. Another very well-known Chennai artist, K.C.S. Panikar, the founder of Cholamandal, was one of the first to use words in his artwork, not in a kind of literal meaning, but in terms of imagery and what it could. And similarly, you can see Rashid Qureshi's work at the back, which uses calligraphy, which are of course words, but using it in a much more pictorial, image and meaningful manner. So there are lots of similarities, though we are so distant. We both belong to a kind of what was once called third world. And another important reason why I was so keen to have it here is because even interactions between Latin America or North Africa and India has been primarily Delhi-centric. We've got, of course, the very well-known Octavia Paz coming as a poet coming. We have Satish Gujral, the artist, going and learning about murals. We have the very famous Havana Biennale, which really made a very big impact on art criticism in India. But it's all sort of Delhi-centric. And when we get a chance like this for us to see in this region, to see Latin American art, I thought it was very valuable. So thank you very much for trusting us with your collection and giving it to us. And please take a look, because some of them are national award winning. Most of them are national award winning artists as well. So it's a very rare opportunity for us. So I will now pass it on to Liliam, and then she can say a few words, followed by our chief guest.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We as a family were really honored to be here because we really like the interaction with the family, with the kids. That's what we try to achieve when we show our collection to the public, because we think that art is universal and it's a universal language that can be understood by everyone. And then when kids have the opportunity to interact with art since a very young age, it develops a sensibility. And this sensibility will show and then all over your life, because it really makes your life better. You always can go back to art and then make yourself accompanied by something that is meaningful and important to you. So I live in India, and I have been really very, very, very happy all these years that I have been here. I think we have been blessed with we have been very lucky to be able to live here. I think that India is such an incredible country that is very poorly understood abroad. I think we should all do more to bring the idea of what India really is, which is a beautiful country, which is really looking forward and trying to project itself into the future. I think that the young generations should remain rooted in what is traditional in India, but should look as the future and as part of a global community that we are now. So when it comes to the exhibition, I wanted you all to, I did it this time following some kind of logic that we also explain, so it is easy to understand how we do look at things. It doesn't mean that we don't have this in India. We do have abstract art, we do have conceptual art, we do have all these kind of things, but we do it with a different perspective. So we wanted to bring this to all the Indian audience. I encourage everyone to bring the little kids, the big kids, the grandmothers, the full family. We always like the families to come. Most of all, we want them to interact, to run around, because it is very important. So please invite all your families, your friends, your neighbors. We want kids to come, and I encourage everyone to bring all the families, this is the kind of place and the kind of, for this kind of exhibitions. So we have on the back portraits, which I think is very interesting to see how we look at portraits in our continent. Each of those artists have won a national award, and then they really are the best that we have in our continent when it comes to contemporary and modern art. So I am really, really blessed. My mother, which is the one that is actually the owner of most of the collection, because my mother was the one that was the president and chief curator of the Havana Biennale and has been a reference in contemporary art, could not come this time. She's kind of far away now, but she really sends the blessings, and then she really wants for this to stay here as much as possible so everyone can interact with it. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. DakshinaChitra, a place I really love. Thank you all for coming here. Please bring everyone else, and then you can ask me any question, and I will just go and explain you anything you want to know. And thanks all my friends here for coming also. My friends in India. Rhea has been my friend for so many years, so I am very grateful that she has come also. Alison, now you. Now my Alison.
Good evening, everyone, and Vanakkam. I was one of the founders with Deborah Thagarajan for this project. Many, many years. I forgot how many years ago, but I helped her to find. And I haven't been here in a while, but it's amazing what a great job you're all doing. It's really, really incredible. It's beautiful, and it's everything seems to be very well organized, and you're doing a great job here. Congratulations to all of you who are part of this foundation. And of course, I'm here thanks to my dear dynamic neighbor, Liliam. She's my neighbor in Injambaka, and she never stops. She's really an amazing woman. She is involved in everything in India, in Chennai, and it's amazing how much energy and time she spends trying to promote India, which I think is wonderful. I think we have to give her a big hand for that. As an expatriate, an expat, and the energy she has. And not only that, she's also a great sportswoman, if you all don't know. She's a badminton champion. She's a pickleball champion. You ask her to do football, kick the ball, she'll go everywhere. Now, even though she has a broken toe, she'll go. She never stops. But she always says, no problem, I'll manage. It's okay, we say, okay. But, she'd really never stop. She's amazing. She's really an amazing woman, really. And how much you support our country, it's like incredible, really. I know, it's a passion. It's not everybody can do it. And she's traveled the whole of India. She's seen everything. She's gone here, she's gone there, she's trekked, I think she's gone mountain climbing, and she wanted to go to Nepal, but I think her toe let her down. But now I think the toe is getting better, and I hope she doesn't have another accident that she cannot go anywhere. And she has a wonderful family here. It's lovely to have her as my neighbor in Injambakam, and really, I really, really appreciate all her hard work and promotion that she does to this country, and to Chennai especially. And I wish her all the very best, and more to come. Never say never. And thank you very much. Nandri.
Thank you very much, Alison. Could I request you to light the lamp? Liliam. Rhea. Sharad. No, go ahead. You go ahead, Sharad.
So I'll do a short presentation so that you can all get more or less the idea of what we're going to show. So, Alison, thank you so much, Alison. So here we are. Welcome. Where are you from?
Houston.
Huh?
Houston, Texas.
Oh my God. Okay, good. So it comes close from. Okay. So the exhibition is divided in by subjects. So I understand it's a little bit crowded somewhere, but I wanted really to show how the large diversity we have in Latin America when it comes to these subjects. So we started here in abstract art. Here it will be abstract art, abstract art. There we go to conceptual art. Here we do a movement that is called, I know you are asking yourself the question, this is called Hurufilla art. It really talks to Koreans, it talks to Japanese. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything. It's the master of calligraphy. It was a movement that started in Northern Africa in the 70s, where artists, it takes a lot of time to become a master in calligraphy. It takes a lot of time in Japan, but it takes a lot of time in Northern Africa. And since Muslim countries cannot have representations of persons or of animals, they have to work with the calligraphy. So this is a movement that was transversal to all of the region, and there are artists in several of these countries. So this one here is Rachid Koraichi. He's from Algeria. So this is a series. The series is 22 works, all in all. We choose to put 6. But the 22 of them are very beautiful. So it doesn't say anything. It all goes with the rhythm. It has to do with the work, with how, after mastering the calligraphy, they decided to use it in a different way. Okay, so it would be for the Hurufilla movement on the back, and then it will be in Yamahdawi from Tunis. So I encourage all of you, because all of you have Instagram, to look at Instagram to some of these artists that have really very beautiful sites with pictures of all of it, and images of all of their exhibitions, because most of them are national awards and are recognized artists, so they are very easy to find. So for those that have not gone to France, but one day everyone will go, this is Hervé Telemaque. Hervé Telemaque is a master. He was born in Haiti, which is a small island in the Caribbean, and then he moved first to the US, and then he ended up moving to France because he thought that at the time he moved, at the end of the 70s and the 80s, it just went more with what he believed would be the engagement of the youth in what was going on in the world. So he ended up living in France. So there is one station in France in the metro that is all down is one of his panels. So when you see Musée d'Orsay, which is the largest museum, a very large museum in France, downstairs in that station, one of the huge works is by him, by Hervé Telemaque. Here we have Marta Palau. She's from Mexico. Marta Palau in Mexico, which is a country that have great artists like Diego Rivera, like Frida Kahlo. They have a national award, which in Mexico is a national award for science and art. So she won the award for art and science. And in Mexico, when you won the national award, in Cuba also, it's the same. When the year you won the national award, the year after you do an exhibition of your work in the National Museum. And the work she chose this is one of the works she chose for that exhibition, when she won the national award. So it really means a lot for Marta Palau, who is an artist she was born in Spain, and family moved to Mexico, and then she is considered a Mexican artist. She was only born there. The same for Luis Kamnitzer. He was born in Germany, but he's an Uruguayan artist. So even though some of them were born somewhere else, they all consider themselves an artist from Latin America. So she works a lot. This will also talk a lot to Indians, all this importance we give to the hands, to the roots, to the handicrafts, all that. So that will be for Marta Palau. And then I'm very proud, Alfredo Sosa Bravo here, he has a national award in Cuba. He's now 95 years old. So when I told the masters, I'm doing an exhibition in India, he was like so happy. And they said, oh my God, I want to be. I said, please send me. So they sent this from Cuba. So for this exhibition, because these 4 works were not in the previous exhibition we did. So these are recent serigraphies from I think after he turned 90. I think that with time, he has become more colorful. So his work has become happier, and he has become happier with life. So it really depicts Cuban life. This one here on the right, this building is the La Caridad del Cobre, which is the patron of Cuba. So this, and then the other ones as like, you know, the parties, and then it depicts an idealized Cuban life, but in a way we are all like that. Despite everything, it really represents what Cubans and Cuba is. So that will be for Alfredo Sosa Bravo. We put 2 here and 2 on the other side. So since we have Americans here, we have one work over there by Joseph Kossut. Joseph Kossut is one of the most important artists in the world when it comes to conceptual art. So we have that work over there is the only American we have in the exhibition, but the US is still and well in America, so Joseph Kossut will be there. So, and then all the others here, you will see, so the work in blue over there is an artist, she was born in Japan. And then she was traveling to visit her brother in Brazil, because I don't think you know, but the largest Japanese community outside of Japan is in Brazil. There are a lot of Japanese that live in Brazil. It's a very large community. So she went to see Tomi Otake, is her name. She traveled to see her brother. And then the war started, Second World War, and then she couldn't leave. And then she decided to settle forever in Brazil. And then she became one of the most important artists in Brazil. Thanks for coming. So, and then there is an institute now that is called Tomi Otake. And then she waited until she was 50 years old to decide to to focus on her art career. So she lived until she was more than 100 years old. So she saw the recognition of her career in Brazil and in all of Latin America. So that will be the blue one over there, Tomi Otake. And then there is the Institute Tomi Otake. It's an institute where they keep all their archives and part of her work. So. And then this, if I go to one, but I want to say, this one here. So in the 70s, I think it was in 68 or something, he went to Venice. Venice is, the Venice Biennale is now, we're talking a lot about the Venice Biennale because India, after not being in the Venice Biennale for 10 years, is now back. So the Venice Biennale, he won the Lion of the award of the Venice Biennale. And then what he did that was really changed the perception of everyone to contemporary art. He made an agreement with a company, and then they did a painting, a natural painting, green. So put yourself, of course none of you were born, but we are in the 70s, and then he wanted to prove that on Earth, everything is interlinked, which means that what you do here, we will have a result somewhere there. So he poured on the canals in Venice this green, it was natural, it was made of some kind of plants. This green painting, he put it, so this green was going everywhere in Venice. So like that, to prove that we have one Earth, that everything is interlinked. So he was a very, very important artist when he was always talking about the risks to the environment. This looks very much abstract, but it is not exactly. He was a researcher that used to go every year to the Amazonas. And while in the Amazonas, he will research about the communities that live in the Amazonas. And then he was, since that time, always putting the light on we are destroying the Amazonas as an environment, and then the risk that it comes with it. So it will be like, every year they will be putting on fire part of the Amazonas to grow cattle. So in Brazil, the Amazonas has been disappearing because of the cattle growing that is growing on and on and on forever in Brazil, and the forest has been disappearing. So he really since the beginning of his career, he was engaged in this fight against the destruction of the environment and how everything was interlinked. So when he did that work in Venice, it was really something that marked the spirits for a very long time. So on the other side, okay, here, Bedia, I like him. This is interesting because I will tell you a story. This artist here is called Jose Bedia. You have an artist here in India that is called Yangar Singh Chiam. You don't know, but you will know about it. Yangar Singh Chiam is a gun artist. You have to travel a little farther away. There is an artist here that is called Swaminathan. Swaminathan was very important because he was a contemporary artist that, besides being a contemporary artist, very good artist in himself, he understood the importance of all the tribal art in how this was not only like tribal art, it was contemporary art. So he put himself to discover all these wonderful artists that were in these communities. So he was the one that found Yangar Singh Chiam in his community, and then when the first exhibition that was done in the world that put in the same contemporary art museums artists from what at the time was called the third world and the rich countries was called the Magicians of the Earth. And then Yangar Singh Chiam was part of this exhibition, and he was part of this exhibition. Since then, that was in 1999, he has made a career. He's a reference now for contemporary art in Latin America and in the world. But at the same time, he's a researcher of all tribal communities. So he travels all over the world to research on tribal communities, which has also enriched his own work. So and then he has this link to India, that in that exhibition there was another Indian artist, I don't remember now, because he didn't make a career after that. The only one that really got on and and grow as art artist was Yangar Singh Chiam. And then Bedia was in that exhibition. He really takes a lot of influence from the Cuban roots in Africa. So you all know that we are the Indians that were found when they were looking for you. So we were there in the middle, so they found us when they were looking for you. But the Indians that were in our countries, only in some countries, they were developed. They have societies that had a structure that you will have here on the Cholas or the Cheras, or these are in us in the small countries. We didn't have. Like they had in Mexico or they have in Peru. They have Mayas, Aztecas, Incas in the south, Chichimecas, Toltecas. All these were very advanced societies that had a structure. In Cuba, we were hunters and gatherers, which means that when the Spanish arrived, everything was destroyed. See, there's no Cuban now that can say, I have roots in the original inhabitants of this island that were there when the Spanish arrived. It doesn't exist. We are trying, I've read books, but we are really digging to find one or two, but it doesn't, it's not there. Because a hunter-gatherer is it's a very primitive stage of development. So, and then it really was scarcely populated. So when we go, Cuba in particular, our roots are from the slaves that were brought from Africa to Cuba in work in the sugar cane production, and then the Spanish and European settlers that came to Cuba. And a lot of them remain in Cuba. So our roots can only be traced to Europe and to Africa. There's no roots to be found there. So Bedia, he researched a lot our roots in Africa. He went to Angola when he was young, conscripted to do the Angola War. So he went to do the Angola War when he was in the military service. He stayed there for 2 years, and that really opened his eyes, if it could be possible to open it more, to the African society. So after that, every year he travels to Africa, to South America, to the same places to do his research that has enriched a lot his work. It remains very much a Cuban artist, but he really is looking far in our roots in Africa. So if you look at the small details, you will see a lot of these references. Like this thing here, we will do like Puyas you do. This we will do with that one over there. To won the Guggenheim Fellowship, and then he went to the US, and then he ended up living in Argentina because his wife is from Argentina. So he has been consistent throughout his career in the relationship between men and nature, and how yin and yang and all, how everything the same as other artists, but he always using the forms of nature. So what we look, I put these two together, there is a serigraphy and down is an acrylic on canvas, because even though they are 10 years apart, it would look like they were done at the same time. It means that he is working on the same subject, and then he will do it on paper, and then he will do a painting years after, because always the idea central to his work is the same. So the relationship between man and nature. There was one that I did not put where there was a face of the person with cars. It's a work that everyone likes. I will perhaps put it somewhere in a little hole so we can see it. So this artist is to show how the same artist also in different techniques, they keep true to themselves. So because this is a serigraphy, that is an acrylic on canvas, this is a drawing. So different techniques over there. So another one that is an artist that is sold, that one over here, that is a lot from my Korean friend, Kacho. He is the artist who entered the collection of the MoMA Museum. At 23, the MoMA bought one of his work for the permanent collection. So he has won so many awards, the UNESCO award, but one award that talks a lot to my friend is that he was the first one to win the award in the Gwangju Biennale. In Asia, there is no biennale more important than Gwangju Biennale. Kochi Biennale is very good, but the kind of event that have state support and recognition and has make a mark it's still Gwangju Biennale ahead. So even though Kochi is doing a great job, it's a very good biennale, Gwangju is a very different thing. So he won the first award in the grand prize in the first Gwangju Biennale. So he has been, that was like in the 90s, I guess, at the beginning. So he also has been very consistent throughout his career. He's a Cuban artist, and then his subject of research has always been migrations and how migrations change the person who migrates and the country where the person who migrates, the place where we live and the place where we arrive. So they're the same. That is that one, the small one there. I wanted to put it because this is a sketch he did. He did a very huge installation in the Reina Sofia Museum in Spain, a personal exhibition, and this is a sketch for one of the works that was there. So that one there is the one that is very close to my heart because it is with true polish. Is with true polish and then a knife, and with the knife he made if you see, it's a boat and like a ghostly figure like migrating. We migrate in the Caribbean, or the tragedy of migration by boat is very wide spread. It's not only Cuba. We have this from Northern Africa, all of Africa coming to Europe, us going to the US. So it really talks to all of those that have migrated or know what is the migration situation. So, and these two, well, that is the one here is actually, it is a triptych. I'm so sorry, I only bring one. But the triptych, this was the one in the middle. The triptych was like, these trees is the Cuban symbol, these palm trees. So, when you leave, when you are moving, and then when you get to a new place, the palm tree had only roots. So you are putting your roots where you get. And then this one is very interesting, it's very funny, and if I don't explain, it's difficult to grasp. So at the beginning of this century, there was an artist, Russian artist, that was called Tatlin. Tatlin did a work that was called La Spiral. In English, I don't remember. That was exactly this, the spiral of Tatlin, that symbolizes utopia. At the time, we did believe utopia, we're going to build this, and the world was going to be better for everyone, and this, we're going to solve every problem. So there was a time in the world that there was a lot of hope, that everything will get better and the problems will get solved. So this Tatlin spiral meant this hope. So being Cuban, being Cuba, the communism we have been built there, that which is really not good, not working very well. So what did he do? He's a very smart man. So he used the reference to art history, which is the espiral, And then here, if you look, this is a coffee, to do coffee, So, let's do something useful out of the utopia that has never been, given any result. So he put some practical eye into the building utopia. So utopia has not really worked. So let's make something useful out of something that has not worked. So that's why, if you meet the detail, he put something, let's look at coffee maker out of this. So you will make something useful out of something that has not proven very useful. So so this is that. So you look, technically he's very good. He's engraving, acrylic on canvas. This is a mixed technique. This is wash. Yes, on paper. So I also, he's very good. So I would say that you take the time to look at details and all that. So now let's okay. Now since we are here, let's go. So this is another artist that had the National Award of Cuba. René Francisco. They used to be two working together. I only have the René Francisco of his later works. You were with me yesterday. There is something in life that when you learn something, you cannot unlearn what you learn. So I know when you look at here, she explained me that she saw some coated papers and something like that. Well, actually, it is not. Let's try to look again. So this is serigraphy that he made years after the original works were done. So this is inspired by a series that was in the 80s when he won the 90s when he won the National Award of Cuba. So Cuba is a country where I think in a lot of ways resembles India. We had very little choices when we were growing up, like one soap, one toothpaste, we can tell. So everything was one, and then no trademark, no nothing. So everything had, everything the same for everyone. So then we were very much recycling at the time. So he made a series that was very interesting that it was called, and then when it is linked to India, that was called El Tubo Sutra. So he took our toothpaste tubes, when people finished, he emptied them, he cleaned them, and he made the positions of the Kama Sutra. So as soon as now you see this, you will not forget what I'm saying. So, but since the three were together, it is technically very good. So I put it here because from here on, I had chosen to talk about the city. So I had to do some transition between this, that is the art engaged and politically engaged with this, and what comes here, which is the city, and how we look at the city. So I put it here because it's of the same artist, so you can see how the same artist can do different things on different stages in time. Okay, so now that I know you cannot unsee what I'm telling you, and you will go there and look at each and every detail, but it is what it is. So here I wanted to have another approach. So how do we look at cities? So, in the 80s, it was the time of the graffiti. In New York and everywhere, you see the movies, everyone was painting graffitis everywhere. So in Cuba also, this had influence, because remember, universal trends. So these are artists from Cuba from the 80s that were also know our vision of what graffitis are and how the cities, these kind of things have changed the face of the cities. So it will be that. And so this one is years later. I went to the Venice Biennale, and then there's only once in the history of the Venice Biennale that Africa had won the award, the main award of the Venice Biennale. In Venice Biennale, there are, now that is the time, I'll explain. My mother was a jury of the Venice Biennale, so I went with her, so I do know more or less how it works. You have national pavilions. Only rich countries have national pavilions. Let's not because the national pavilions were built a long time ago, like 100 years ago. Only rich countries had national pavilions, and countries that were rich at the time, like Venezuela, will have. So you have a national pavilion for the US, for the Nordic countries like Sweden, and then you have Russia, and then those are the kind of countries that will have a national pavilion. Other than that, with the development of the Venice Biennale, the countries that want to have a national pavilion will rent someplace in Venice. So you go with time and with money, a country, and says, I am going to be part of the Venice Biennale as a national pavilion. National pavilion is sent by the national government. It's not that I organize myself from here and I said, I'm going to do the national pavilion. It has to be from the national government, and then you rent a place. If you're a poor country that you don't have a permanent place. And then that is the national representation. So there will be one jury that will go, and among all the countries, we choose the country that has won the national pavilion. There is another award which is different, that is done. The Venice Biennale organizes an exhibition which is the Venice Biennale. So they choose the artist. They have a curator that chooses the artist. Among that exhibition is always chosen one to win an award. It's two different things. One award is for the national pavilion, and one award is for one artist that is among the ones that the Biennale already selected. So it's a very important award, because Venice has become, when it comes to national pavilions, the most important event in the world. It is not the most important when it comes to art, because that is Documenta in Kassel, no doubt about it, but it's every 5 years. So this is every 2 years. So all this introduction to tell you that in all the history anyway, only once Africa has won this. So, and the only one that Africa won was this artist there. So I was there, so I picked this up. So the concept was simple. The series is called Luanda Encyclopedic City. So he's a photographer in Angola. He's very well known. So he made pictures of Luanda. So as the name of the work is Luanda Encyclopedic City, there were stashes of photos. Stashes. One here in a very beautiful place. They rented a very beautiful palace over there. So one stash here, one stash there, one there, one there. So you were walking around, you were looking at these photos, and you could take whatever you wanted. But people in general don't know this kind of details, because the people that I have come to know now that people are not acquainted to how in contemporary art things are interactive. You touch, you do, people remain, without touching. So I remember I was with my mother that knows more. My mother said, let's take everything. This is very good. This man is going to win. So we take pictures from all the stashes, because the idea is that when you get to your house or whatever you want, you arrange the photos in the way you think that Angola is. So you imagine Angola the way you want, which that was the main concept. So this is 3. I have all of the ones that went to the Venice Biennale that year. I picked them up there. He, as an artist, has made a special edition of 3 of some of these photos that are the ones that has been sold on auction and all that. But these are the original ones that were stashed over there. And not two people can do the same, because it depends on how many photos you take from the stashes. So you could take 1, 3, 100 from the same, whatever. There was no limit. So this is the way I imagine myself Angola. So I bring these 3 to give you an idea. Okay? So how many copies are of this? No one knows, because he printed for people to take. Okay? So the limited edition, it was done for some other thing. So this will be the city, this, I don't have too much to explain. It's another view of the city, how you organize a city. This is this view of an African city. This is a view of the city from the 80s when graffitis were there. And this is a landscape, a different kind of landscape. He is from the Dominican Republic, Raúl Recio. So he's an artist that has always been, he has always criticized a lot consumerism and all the influence that tourism has had in the Dominican Republic. So I wanted to see this, to put also, a different idea of a city, of a landscape. So there it went with the city and then the landscape, because I don't have, as you can see, not too many landscapes. So it's not that common in contemporary art that artists depict landscapes. So, and now what we did here. So let's try. So here it goes by itself that these are portraits. Here, all kind of portraits. And then here, I will go to the portraits later. So these 2 together. I will put all of you in the situation. In the 70s, we had, and again, a world like Tatlin's time. In the 70s, we have again a world full of hope. People in Paris protesting in the streets. It's a world that was like that. So in a lot of places, we had depictions of heroes. So it was the time of heroes were depicted everywhere. So this will be part of this time. This is from 1977. So it goes with the time. A hero depicted in an idealistic way. So, but this one, it requires more of an explanation. This is an anti-hero. So I wanted to put, so, which is a very rare work from the time, particularly in Cuba. This is a portrait to a policeman, a Cuban policeman that tortured people in the police station. So if you see, this is a handgun in the face, and then the colors. This is an actual drawing. So how my mother got this is very interesting. My mother was studying, and then she had to go, and she was working in the National Museum, and she had to go to see him, the artist, to do an interview. And then he said, I want you to keep this. So he gave it to Mama, Mama kept it. As years went by, he realized how important this had been in his time. So he was like, I'm going to change you for anything you want. And my mom said, no, no, we are keeping it. So this is called, the name of the work is Ventura. This is the name of the policeman. So I wanted to put together different, the same spirit of the time. So the hero and the anti-hero, how we saw it in Cuba. Okay, so, and then when it comes to portraits here, let's say that Marisol, I want you to look at it. Marisol was an artist. This one here, this work is called Pocahontas. It's inspired by Pocahontas that you all know. But Marisol was an artist that she was part of the pop art. She lived in New York. She exhibited with Andy Warhol. But we tend to forget women. Now it has to come with time that we recover the history of women. She was very important. But she was mostly doing sculptures. So she was very good, very well recognized by the sculptures. So this Pocahontas work is very interesting because you have all watched Disney, I guess. She wanted to do a work as and putting herself in the position of Pocahontas. Like, you know, how was she looking at the ones that were looking at her? Because when she married a British, she was taken to Britain. So she was taken as an example on how we can mingle and then get together with these people we have found over there. We have found these Indian people, look, how can we marry these people? And then she was supposed to be a success story. So while she was alive, there's only one painting original of her. So she got inspired from that one. So she tries to put herself in the eye of the person that is looked at. So how you look at all those people that are saying things about you that finally, is this what I think? Is this, I am in this position? So that was that work in that. And then it's from the time where this movement, in the US started. I have to remember now. So it is the time of that work. Look at the details, because Pocahontas, we all have an idea that clearly does not go to what really is written in the history text. So, and then I wanted this work by Marisol, which is such an important artist. So here we have Osvaldo Guayasamín. Guayasamín was an incredible man in himself. He did what we, in his country now, we have what we call like the Earth Chapel, where he tried to depict the history of America. He was ethnically very Indian, our Indians, huh? And he always kept in mind his roots. So he always depicted the poor people of Latin America. He traveled around. He became such an important artist. He also has a very high idea of himself, but he was very nice and very funny. And then when you go to Madrid one day, in the Madrid airport, 100-meter panel there is by him with the history of America. So when you were talking about Mexico, in Mexico, Diego Rivera did one in the Palacio de Gobierno there, and then he also has done this, his point of view. So this work, he went back to this same depiction several times. For him, this depiction was very important. Because in South America, we don't have a lot of black roots, but we don't have. And then being black in South America is really, if being an Indian is already, Spanish settlers come after, then original settlers, and then the Africans that came from Africa are really down in the scale. So for him, he went back to this a lot of times, to these images, and he worked on this in several works. So there you got. The Dominican Republic is a very happy place. People are very smiley, and then we dance a lot. So every time I look at this, I remember these people. I remember these people. El maestro Cándido Vidó, he developed even this blue color that he after sold as a color that he developed. So he did this idealized paintings of the Dominican Republic. So he imagined people like this in the countryside, which is not at all the case. As you know, no one is extremely happy working the land. But he these images of the Dominican Republic. This is rare in the sense that it has eyes. There is a traditional puppet. How you say it in English? Dolls, traditional dolls. The traditional dolls are without eyes. So in a lot of his paintings, the dolls will be without eyes. So these are kind of uncommon. So because he will do a lot of paintings without the eyes, inspired by the traditional Dominican dolls. So, so these are, for those interested in his art history, you have to look at this. This is taken from a painting, a classical painting, which is in the Museum, El Desayuno en la Hierba. It's a Monet thing. So this is an artist that I think I explained it there somehow. He took inspiration from he said that there was 3 levels of interpreting things. So he took inspiration from classic of art. He also took inspiration from the moment he was living, because this work is called I Love the Neutron Bomb. It was at the time where we were against the war, and then all these protests against the war. So it has different levels of interpretation. So you look the eye, the heart. I encourage all of you to take time to look at details, because it's not that common that you can see here art from our part of the world. So you see how it goes with the detail. This is a maestro, Julio Girona. This is very funny, because the one that is here is another very famous artist. So Villalobos, this is the name. So Julio Girona has a National Award of Cuba. And this was his student. So I called Villalobos, which is a friend. I said, Villalobos, it just exactly like him. I showed you a picture of Villalobos, is this man. So I called Villalobos, I said, Villalobos, it is true that it's you. And he said, it's the master. I couldn't ask, but me too, I think I was there. So he never asked the master if he painted him while he was his student, but we all are very much sure that this is him. So this is a master inspired by one of his students that is also now a very well-known artist. And then I think, I'm going to do this. You have to look for this. She has the National Award of Mexico, Graciela Iturbide. She's one of the most important photographers in the 20th century in Latin America. Graciela Iturbide. And this is a serigraphy she made out of an original picture that is called El Señor de los Pájaros, the man of the birds. So he had a scholarship from the Mexican government to go and live with communities within Aboriginal communities and do projects there. And then he went to Nayarit, which is a Mexican state, and while living there and doing that project, he did this photo. So if you put El Señor de los Pájaros in each and every museum over there, there is one of these photos. So you look at it. So, and then she did after a serigraphy inspired in that. And so this one is close to my heart because my kids are from Argentina. This is Carlos Gardel. Here we have someone that said, the man with the guitar. It's not like that. He's not a man with a guitar. Carlos Gardel, when it comes to music, is a reference. He is the most important artist for tango music. Tango is Carlos Gardel. No one has ever come closer to Carlos Gardel. After we have had Astor Piazzolla, but nothing like Carlos Gardel. So he was an idol all over our country. He died very young in an airplane accident. So when the Argentinian government wanted to make a homage to Carlos Gardel, they asked Carlos Alonso. And Carlos Alonso did this work for a stamp. So in the philatelic office in Argentina, we have a stamp, which is this. As I was saying there, Anita, which is very funny, after this stamp, they changed the money. So this stamp originally is in Austral, and after that, the pesos came. So even for that, it's interesting, because it was the last stamp that was done with the old money. So, but now here, it's important for you to know that Carlos Alonso is not at all, this is not at all the kind of work he will do. He's a very, very engaged artist and a very political artist. His daughter was kidnapped during the military dictatorship in Argentina. He never had news from her anymore, and she was pregnant. So it's assumed that the kid that was born was kidnapped by the military and was done into adoption into a family. So he has this tragedy in his family, that his daughter was kidnapped, probably killed, and then the baby that was born, no one knows what it is. So he has always been very critical to the Argentinian government, and mostly to that part of Argentinian history where the militaries were in charge. After, he has kept his engagement, but also with the inequality. He has always fight inequality and all that. So this is a very rare work. When you said Carlos Alonso is not the most common of his work. He has a very engaged work that has been to his work. He's now also in his 90s. He's very much alive and in good health, and he has the national, in Argentina, we have something that is called el premio a la trayectoria, which is the award to a career. So they gave him the award to a career. Argentina, when it comes to art, is a very smart country, because the awards come with money, but not in the way you imagine. It's not that you won the award and I give you the money here. No. If you won a national award, when you get to the retirement age, you get a retirement. So every month you are paid. So in Argentina, when you are young, you think that you're going to win all the awards in the world and you'll make a very good career, which is in cases, but it's very difficult to live as an artist. So when you're 65, you are not in the same position to fight for who I'm going to sell the gallery and all that. So when you win an award in Argentina and you get to the retirement age, from then on, you get a pension from the government. So that is part of, so in Argentina, it will work like that. Yes, we are doing everything here, history, art, all at the same time, I know. So, and then I think, so here, oh my God. So he likes Valente Maranguatán Ngüenya is the one I'm going to explain. This one here. So Valente Maranguatán Ngüenya, with a very long name, he was from Mozambique. He was a freedom fighter. So he fights for the independence of Mozambique from Portugal. He became a member of parliament, and then he became a very well-known and recognized artist. He was a member of the Academy of Art in Germany. So, and this is, a depiction of the fights in Africa for independence. So now they are gone. I think I have explained a lot.